Hi there, it's John from Commercial Real Estate Online. Welcome to the program. This is another group of slides, particularly parts 2 and 3, of how you can create a sales canvassing plan as a broker or an agent in commercial real estate. So I did share earlier slides in this series within the YouTube channel, so please check those out as well. This particular group of slides will help you go down into getting organised, getting systemised, building your momentum when it comes to your clients, your listing potential, and the properties that you want to work on. So let's have a look at that. So the whole idea in commercial real estate is to establish a marketing plan for yourself particularly, and that will include the property types that you want to work on and also the locations that you want to work through. So when you look at your marketing plan, think about yourself. How are you connecting with people and properties and finding the opportunities with those things in your zone? So I've broken this down into a few different categories. Property types particularly. Now they will be office, industrial or retail, maybe land. And you'll have some variables within that as well. Maybe shopping centres, etc. Now when you've done that, you can then focus on the client types. Who are they? Usually investors, then certainly property owners. Then you may choose to go further than that into a third category, such as business owners, and that will include tenants in occupancy or businesses within the defined precinct. So there's quite a lot of people in those three groups for you to work with and into, because our game of commercial real estate is actually about working into things and finding things. Over time, you develop some real skills at engaging with people, finding the properties, finding the situations, seeing the situations. So that will also allow you to move to targeted properties, and they will be the better properties in your zone. Maybe on the main roads, maybe quality buildings, but do create a list of say 20 or 30 targeted properties that you really want to work on at some stage in the future, be it sales or leasing, doesn't matter. So once you've organised that, you get into the stage of working on creating listings, and that will only come through conversations with people. If you want listings, you just have to talk to a lot of people consistently to track your progress through that and do that over time. Now, a marketing plan is at an agent level. It's really nothing to do with the brokerage that you work for. Sure, there's a brand there and maybe that helps you somewhat, but your ability to create listings comes through your ability to engage, converse, connect. Let's go further. So the targeted listings, I mentioned them earlier. I want you to look at your zone, your precinct, understanding that you have your A precinct and your B precinct, or primary zone and secondary zone. Now, the primary zone is where 80% of your business should come from. The secondary zone is where other things come from, which you don't mind working on because that precinct is not too far away. But it is a bit further away than your primary precinct. So once you've set your precincts, you then focus on these things. Particular properties, particular clients, certainly locations, and you look at the property types. Depends on what you prefer from a property type perspective. For example, I like to focus on retail and shopping centres a lot, but I can do anything I like. However, I do prefer shopping centres. So think about that. Going further, you should have your database evolving around you. That's a personal thing. That means every day you put some more people into your database. You connect with the other people that are in your database again and again and again every 90 days. That's how you create presence and you help people remember you, and that then allows you to build your listing potential. So when you think about your database, that is the foundational coverage for you to get listings over time. And you should be segmenting it into all of these people. So your database should have the capture points where you can categorize people. And of course, that will be buyers, sellers, landlords, tenants. You'll create a list of that. You'll create a list of franchise groups. All of these people sit in your database, And you can pull up the segment, for example, the tenants, if you want to try and fill a vacancy in the location. Or you can pull up a list of landlords if you're trying to get some leasing activity from landlord-owned properties. All sorts of things. And of course, investors will sit in there as well. Now, investors might be sellers or buyers or both. Just be aware of how you categorize your investors. Now, the database will include business owners. Always talk to business owners. They can tell you so much about what's going on locally. And that will give you good leverage when it comes to creating more momentum with listing activity. And your database will look at locations. I tend to put precincts into my database. That will be south, north, east, west, inner city, outer city, CBD, that sort of thing. Then you've got budgets as to what people can afford, which will come to rental and price. The timing of what they want to do, when their lease expires or when they need to expand or contract. And you have your property types, which is office, industrial and retail. If your current database can't do that, then I would suggest to you that get a better database. Because your database should be segmented enough for you to pull up exactly what you want, to talk to those people at the right time in the right way. And from that you can get accuracy. You can create churn factors and find the people to talk to. And of course you can create a lot of data entry. I like to suggest that data entry occurs at the end of the day, although you may choose to do it as you go through your core processes. That's up to you. Let's go further. So one little point here I will make. You're using a database. Understand how you can get the data out of the database. Now, this is really important if you're working in a company, a brokerage. They have given you the software tool. They expect you to fill the software tool with leads, opportunities, conversations, meetings, all of that. I say to you, be careful. Because the day will come where you want to move on. And when you do that, you want to take your data with you. My question to you is, can you export your data at any time you want it to take it away with you? Now, I'm not suggesting you do anything illegal or dishonest. I just ask you to consider how you own your database, how you take it with you, given that you've spent so much time talking to people and going through property opportunities. Of course, your database is going to help you with all the finding of people and the situations through filters. That's why I mentioned earlier, your database has to have all those filters. So you can pull up a filter. Maybe it's people who can purchase a property over $5 million. You can pull up that filter and there they are. That's simple. Let's go on. Now, the personal marketing plan is something to consider very specifically because it's all about you. I know you have a database to talk to people, but then I say to you, how are you going to market yourself? Now, telephone calls are very good. So that's first on my list, outbound calls. Just create conversations. Create 40 conversations a day through your database. Just keep doing it and add new people to the list. Then think about email blasts where you send out listing opportunities, sale opportunities, buying opportunities. Think about a website for yourself where you can put articles regards what you're seeing, what you're doing locally. Now, this could be called a blog, and that's okay. Because blog is actually informational. Everyone's heard of a blog, but not many agents get their head around how they can do that. If you can do it, it gives you a better presence on the internet than any social media platform would. So you can do your social media thing, maybe 1 or 2 channels, maybe LinkedIn, maybe one more than that, maybe Facebook on business, I'm not sure. But to me, it's more important to create a blog where you can write things, show things, talk about things, create articles in your blog. Now, you can use WordPress or Blogger because they'll give you a free platform. It doesn't cost you anything, just your time to put things in there. You can, of course, go further than that, which a lot of agents do, and they still use WordPress. But then they go into WordPress from a WordPress.org capacity because there's a difference here. WordPress.com is actually the free platform. WordPress.org allows you to take your WordPress site and put it into your own domain name, which can be very important. It is for me. It should be for you, but initially just get started on WordPress.com if that's what you can do. If you can write something, then start blogging about properties in your location, property types, activity, changes, upgrades, economy issues, all of that. So as an agent, you can do other things such as webinars, but I would encourage you to do podcasts. It's so easy. There are very many podcast hosting groups out there. Now you'll say, well, why do I need a podcast hosting group? Well, the fact is that when you become more popular and your podcasts are seen, then people will start downloading it or accessing it. And for example, your website just won't have the bandwidth to actually allow your podcast to sit in there, because your website will die through bandwidth. People accessing something that your website can't tolerate the downloads, or many of them. So what would you do in podcasts? The easiest and cheapest way is to create a podcast on YouTube. Now you'll say to me, well, YouTube is video. It is. But you can take an audio and put it into a short video on YouTube, and that can be where your podcast sits. And that's good because YouTube is actually the second most popular search engine in the world. So think about that. If you want to use a real podcast hosting group, there are a number of them out there. You can Google them. But I personally use Libsyn. Libsyn is very good, been out there for many years, very large, not expensive, and they will take care of hosting your podcast for you. Now, another personal marketing plan would be videos. I did mention YouTube. So take on board my thoughts about YouTube. I'll say to you now, can you create a video talking about properties in your location, property types, things like that? And can you do that for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes? Because that's actually all you need on YouTube. It's been proven that the shorter videos are watched more than the longer videos. So think about that and see if you can do that. And you can get some free video editing software online. Just Google that and you'll find there's at least 2 or 3 free video editing software packages that you can use. The last point here on personal marketing is networking other professionals. That's because some industries are allied to what you do, what you know, properties, commercial, industrial, retail. Those other professionals are usually accountants, or they could be legal people such as solicitors, attorneys, that sort of thing, because they all have high net worth individuals who deal with property. And most of those individuals may own property, but they don't know much about that property, or property type, or class, or location. Now, since you would or should know about property more than, let's say, the clients of solicitors and accountants and attorneys, you have a service that you can offer to those attorneys and solicitors and accountants to explain to their clients what's going on out there in the market. Okay, so that's a personal marketing plan. And I want you to think about that further and see if you can develop that into your momentum to create more leads and opportunities with people. So that's the end of this particular topic today. I'll put part 3 of these slides up in the next few days so you get the balance of the slide group. Make sure you subscribe so that you can get those particular slides in the next part of the program. I'm also going to put a link here to an article I have written about building a sales campaign and a sales momentum for yourself as a marketing plan as an agent. So check out the link at the website, download that article, please, because it's a very good one. It relates to what you can do, should do, and just expands on everything I've explained here to you as part of the video. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you in the next program.